Now, you may be wondering, Mr. Pang, why do we have to do an entire session dedicated to closed passages when it only is about 4 questions or 4 marks in the exam setting? Well, the short answer is this. Closed passage may look short and easy at this stage, but once you get into primary 5, the number of questions for closed passage is literally going to double, right? You heard me correctly, it's going to double, right? It's going to double what you're used to now, and later on it's going to triple, all right? So what you're used to now is 4 questions. It's going to go way more than that, okay? The principles of how to do it successfully, however, will still remain the same. So if you are able to successfully solve a closed passage of 4 words, then it's the same idea for a closed passage of 10 words, or of 15 words, or of 20 words even. So no fear if you grasp the basics, all right? So it's important that you understand how to make sense of a closed passage, find out what's missing, and put the correct word into that blank so that you will score the marks for 4, 10, or even 15 questions in closed passage. So remember, no fear, the principles remain the same, whether there are 4 questions, 10 questions, or 15 questions later on. Whether the passage is short or it's long, the same ideas can be applied again and again, regardless of whether it's a fiction or non-fiction text. And as a bonus, at the end of today's video, I am going to show you how you can create your own closed passages really easily and even give it to each other to practice, all right? Different kinds of closed passages. And closed passages can be fun because they're kind of like a guessing game, and they're also kind of like a puzzle or a quiz, and they, at the same time, teach you something new because each of these closed passages is about something. It's either a story or it's a piece of information that can teach you something about the world in which you live. Okay, so let's go. Making sense of closed passages. Now, before we go into an example and I walk you through the example, there are a few things you need to remember. Okay, so this is the required knowledge for today's mini lesson. You must remember the 5 words, the 5 words types in English, the 5 word types in English. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to stop the PowerPoint slide. I'm going to call up the chat window, and I want those of you who can remember to tell me, where is the chat window? To tell me if you can remember the 5 types of words. All right. So go ahead and type in the chat window. What are the 5 types of words represented by the 5 fingers of your right hand? Remember, left hand synthesis rules, right hand word types in English. Okay. So can you all type in the chat windows? Right, very good. So that's the thumb, right? Megan quite got the thumb. Okay, right? Very good. What about the index finger? Verb, very good. All right. What about the middle finger? All right, yes, that's right. It's the adjective, and then the adverb, and the last little finger is the preposition. Very good, right? Be careful of your spelling. Actually, it's preposition, not preposition. Okay. So be very careful of your spelling. So remember, the noun is often paired with the adjective because the adjective describes the noun. And the verb is often paired with the adverb because the adverb describes the verb. All right? And the preposition tells you the position of the noun. Okay, so these 5 word types, these major word types, they are interrelated. They are connected to each other. Just like every part of English is connected to every other part, right? It forms a body, which is English and how we use English effectively. So remember, these 5 word types, and they're not the only word types, these are just the biggest families of words in English, often play to each other. Okay? Right, very good. So let me move on. Let me minimize the chat window and let me move on. So that's the first thing you need to remember, the 5 major word types. The second thing you need to remember is contextual clues. Now, what are contextual clues? Remember, they're simply clues that point to the meaning of what you're reading. All right? In this case, they point to the meaning of the words that are missing. Right? They help you to find what type and what meaning is missing from that blank that is there in front of you. Contextual clues are very powerful for very many things. We use contextual clues for comprehension, and we also use contextual clues for closed passage. And in this case, since it's a comprehension closed passage, we use contextual clues both to understand the passage as well as to find the missing words. So clues are powerful. You are a grammar detective, you're an English detective, you're using English contextual clues to find missing words and phrases in a passage, right? So that's the second thing you need to know. First thing being the 5 word types, second thing being the contextual clues, and third thing being checking the meaning of your sentence and paragraph as you read it. Now, after you plop a word into that blank, it's going to add to the meaning of that sentence. When you put a word into a sentence, always read the sentence back to yourself to check that the meaning is logical. If you plop a word in and the sentence sounds odd, bizarre, weird, whatever word you want to use to describe it, then there's something wrong with the word you've just put in there. You've got to look at it again and try different words based on the contextual clues that fit until the meaning of the sentence is logical, it makes sense. Then, looking at that sentence in the paragraph, does it make sense? If the sentence and the paragraph make sense with the word you've put in, then the odds are that that is the correct word. It makes sense. So that's the final check, the final ingredient you need to know for today's lesson. Alright, without further ado, let's go through an example like we often do. Even in our composition videos, we looked at how we could apply what we learned in an example. So today, I'm going to apply these 3 main principles, the 5 major word types, contextual clues, and making meaning at the sentence level into an actual closed passage I have extracted from a past year paper. Okay, so let's take a look. Alright, remember, as you look at your closed passage, and in this case, this closed passage has 5 missing words, right? You're looking at a few things: context, clues, neighboring words, sentence meaning, and passage meaning, right? So these are the clues that you need to look for. Okay, so take a moment just to look at this passage without doing anything. Just read the passage through. First step I always like to remind my students to do is to just do a once over. Now, once over simply means that you glance through the entire text without filling anything in, just to get a general sense of what the text is going to be about. Okay, so right at the bottom, you know it's written by someone. All right, this doesn't give us very much by way of clues, but sometimes when it's written in a book and there's a title of the book title can give us a clue about what this passage is about, but not for this particular passage, right? There's no clue from the passage, from the book title here to tell us what this passage is about. Okay, but if I look through the passage very quickly, I kind of get a sense that it's about these 3 boys, Duncan, Jovi, and Ryan, walking through a forest at night. Okay, it looks like as if they're in the forest for some kind of a camping trip, right? Because I see the word tents, and then I see the word canoeing trip. So it could be some kind of an adventure or an excursion. All right, so take a quick look, and let me just call up the chat window at this point to see if there's any questions. Okay, all right. Yeah, I understand. I'm very sorry. Let me see if I can solve this problem. Okay. Don't worry about that. My face is blocking the words only on the bottom right-hand corner. Those words are not necessary for you to solve this passage, okay? So don't worry about it. Anyway, the missing words are they could not wait to go for their canoeing trip the next morning. Okay, so don't worry about the last few words. Just look at the passage that you're able to see. It's more than enough. All 5 of the blanks can be solved using the words that you can see, all right? Okay, at this point in time, are there any questions about what I've just gone through? The 3 different tools that you can use, right? The first being the 5 word types, so you must know what your word types are. Second being using contextual clues. And the third being the meaning at the sentence and the paragraph level. Wonderful. Okay, great. So it looks like everybody's okay. Now I'm going to proceed to model to you how I would annotate and solve this particular passage. Some of the things that will appear as I put onto this slide are things that are appearing in my head, right? So I won't actually write the word types, as in I won't write verb, adverb, but I'm just showing you what I'm thinking as I look at the answers to each of these questions, okay? I'm sure you'll agree with me, this is a rather easy passage, right? But remember, it's not about whether the passage is easy or difficult, it's about the principles that you use to solve the questions. If you master these principles, it doesn't matter whether the passage is easy or difficult, fiction or non-fiction, right? Informational text or narrative, you'll be able to apply the same principles to solve the questions. And these questions can be 4, 5, 10, 15. You'll still be able to use the same principles to solve it, okay? Aiden, can you please not worry about who is Kitty Meow, all right? Thank you, Aiden, right? Okay, let's see. After the two boys were efficient in their work, I'm not sure where you are, Megan Quack. Okay. The two boys were efficient in their work. In an hour, the tents were ready. The boys were proud of blank. They could not wait for their canoeing trip the next morning. Okay, anyway, it's not important, right? Thank you, Kaylin. All right, so let's keep the chatting focused. Aiden, please don't make me repeat myself, all right? This is the second time I've already told you about what I said earlier, which is this chat window is focused on questions relating to the text, okay? Let's try not to ask each other who is whom. I would really hope I don't have to repeat this again, okay? Right, so let's get back to the passage. I'm going to solve it step by step now. Very conscious of the fact that it's already 7:20 and I did promise everyone I would stop by 7:30. So let's go. Okay, first, it was a chilly night. So this sets the context, the setting, right? Very much like when we write a composition, I will tell you where, when, and what weather conditions it is. Same here, the author starts the sentence, starts the passage with the sentence, it was a chilly night. So I know it's nighttime, I know it's cold, right? And then I have the characters Duncan, Jovi, and Ryan had been walking in the forest for 3 hours. The forest was so dark. So this is very interesting. The context is set. So it's a night. It's a forest. So obviously it's going to be dark because there are not going to be any street lamps. It's a forest, right? And the structure here is very important. The forest was so dark that, right? So it was so dark that it was, meaning the darkness is then going to point to the word that is missing, right? It was so dark that it was what for them to make their way around. So if it's very dark, how would you be able to make your way around? Would it be easy or difficult? Difficult, right? Yeah, so it was, right? So if it's dark, then it was hard for them or difficult for them to make their way around, even though they each had a torch and a compass to direct them. So they had torches, they had compasses, but because it was so dark, it was so hard or difficult for them to make their way around. So notice I've used the contextual clue so dark that, and it points to the fact that it was hard for them to make their way around. So that's the first answer. I'm very certain that it's correct because it's hard for them even though they each had a torch and a compass to direct them. So it was hard even though they had torches. It was hard even though they had compasses which showed the direction they should move in. So that second part of the sentence confirms my answer. So dark, very hard, even though they had torch and compass to direct them. So I'm certain, even as I write that answer, it's correct. Okay, let's move on to the next answer. Right, so the next part, we have Duncan, who is complaining and grumbling, right? He's hungry, my stomach is growling, it's been 2 hours since we ate something. So this is the clue, my legs are tired. So this is linked to the next answer. Something about the fact that his legs are tired, right? I can hardly. This is a giveaway clue. What type of word is hardly? Right? Yes, exactly, it's an adverb, right? How do I know it's an adverb? The form ly, right? ly. So I can hardly take another step. Okay? So this tells me this adverb, all right? This adverb, very good, some of you are already putting your answers down. This adverb tells me the next word for blank 27 is going to be a verb, right? So Remember what I said, boys and girls, don't be too caught up with the answers yet. Look at the process, right? It's more important that you master the process than that you get the correct answer. You must understand how and why you arrive at your answer, okay? Yes, you're all correct, well done, okay, but why? Because hardly is an adverb, and hardly always describes a verb, right? An adverb describes a verb, which means that number 27 has to be a verb of some sort. So I can hardly what? And the clue that follows is another step. So what do you do with the step? You take another step. Okay, I can hardly take another step. And the word is take. Why is take in the present tense? Can anyone tell me? All right, so let me look at the chat window now. Right, everyone who answered take, you're absolutely correct. Right, because it's a verb that follows an adverb. But can anyone tell me why in a paragraph, in a story that is in the past, right? It was a chilly night, remember, it was, past tense. Why is take in the present tense? Very good, well done, Martin. It is in a dialogue, exactly. All right, Eden, I'm not sure what you are trying to say, but basically, he has not taken it. No. It's not that he has not taken it yet. It's that it's in a dialogue, right? Okay? The fact that he's saying it, right, makes it present, right? So I can hardly take another step. It's what he's saying. Can you see the quotation marks? My stomach is growling. It has been 2 hours, right? Therefore, it's in a dialogue. I can hardly take another step, okay? So the taking of the step takes place in the dialogue. So the moment you see dialogue, remember, it always comes in the present tense, right? And when I take it out of the dialogue and I make it reported speech, then it becomes past tense, okay? But here, it's in the dialogue, therefore, present tense. Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. You seem to be in agreement. Let's move on very quickly. We're coming to a close. Okay, so the other step tells me that it's about taking a step. Right, next, the next answer is tied to this point about annoyed by Duncan's comments, right? So Jovi and Ryan are annoyed by Duncan's complaints, right? Duncan's complaining, right? My stomach growling, it's been 2 hours since I ate something, my legs are tired, I can hardly take another step. So they're annoyed, all right? So they decided, now remember it's out of the dialogue now, so it goes back to the past tense, right? So annoyed by Duncan's complaints, they decided to allow him to take a, and here take a is very, very powerful as a clue. So you take something, right? So the word a is an article. Remember and the always come before a noun, right? A dog, the boys, an elephant, the box, a toy, right? So whenever you see an article a or the before a blank, that has to be a noun of some sort, right? A boy, the elephant, an excellent suggestion, okay? All of these are things, they're nouns. So I'm looking for a noun here. And it's got to do with the fact that Duncan is tired and he needs to take a break, okay? Right, there we go. So the word is break. Thank you, Jaden Sim. Your answer appeared on my watch. Okay, so you take a break. You take a break because you're tired, right? So they decided to allow him to take a break. Wonderful. Next one. So Duncan sat down and was asleep in less than 5 minutes. So that's how tired he was, right? So it was up to Jovi and Ryan to what the tense for the night. So again, can you see this word too? Right? Can you remember we learned a grammar concept around the word to? Can anyone remember what this grammar idea was? Now remember, everyone, it's not about the answer. It's good that you know the answers. That's great. But do you know that the method is more important than the answer? Because the answers will change from question to question, but the methods remain the same. So if you master the methods, you'll be able to find different answers, right? So good, you all got the correct answer. Well done. Okay, but what was the grammar rule I taught you around the word to? Yes, Ingrid, you're on the right track. Okay, there's a name for that rule. Something about the fact that it has to be in the present and plural, right? Okay, So can y'all remember what is the rule that is built around the word to? Anyone? Something about present tense, yes. Okay, very good. Some of you remember it. Yes. So, John, that's the word I was looking for. The verb after to must be present plural. It's a verb. It's always a verb. Always a verb. Okay? And the rule is called the to-verb rule. Remember? Verbs always come after the word to. Okay? Always after the word. I need to walk. We have to sing louder. They are going to eat at the new restaurant. So it's always verb. To eat, to sing, to swim, to run, to walk. And it's always in the present plural form. No S after the verb, right? So this answer to question 29 has to be a verb. Okay, that's the short of it. Got it? So you see, I'm using all these rules that we learn in grammar, in composition, in comprehension, and I'm bringing them together, right? So remember, everything you learn in English is interrelated. It's not only for synthesis. It's not only for grammar. It's not only for comprehension. It can be applied anywhere, anytime, and it's universal, right? That's the beauty of English. It's all interconnected. You can use these rules again and again if you use them correctly. So remember, you must understand the rules. The rules will govern how you answer the questions. And the questions can change, but the rules remain the same. So if you master the rules, you understand the rules, then whatever you're doing, whether you're writing a composition, answering synthesis questions, or doing a closed passage, those same rules will save you from making mistakes and guide you into giving correct answers. So I cannot emphasize enough, it's great to have the good answer and the correct answer, but the way to get that answer is more important. The process, the principle, the rule behind why that is the correct answer is more important. Okay? So it was up to Jovi and Ryan to, it's a verb, right? Pitch is the correct word because of the word tense, right? So you can pitch the tense. You can't set the tense. You can't fix the tense. There are other verbs, but they don't fit because of the word tense. And the word tense is a contextual clue. It's a clue that limits the answer. I can only pitch a tent. I can't fix a tent. I can't set a tent. I can't push a tent. There are many verbs, but they don't fit with the word tense. Okay? So using word types, neighboring words, contextual clues, all together to find the correct answer is the ultimate way to check that your answer is correct all of the time. Okay? The answers can change, remember, but the rule remains the same. If you can say it together with me, the answers can change, but the rules remain the same. Okay, last one. Okay, the two boys were efficient in their work, and the word efficient simply means very fast, very effective. They did it very well. Okay, so in 1 hour, they were able to build a tent. Okay, the boys were proud of. Right, exactly. All right, because they were very efficient. They had set up the tent. They had done it in 1 hour. They were very proud of. It's a reflexive pronoun, meaning it's a pronoun that reflects back on themselves. So the boys, therefore, themselves, all right? They were very proud of themselves, okay? They could not wait to go for their canoeing trip the next morning. All right, success. We have finished this, okay? Will there ever be two words in comprehension blank? No. Comprehension blanks, comprehension closes always test you only on one word. Okay, very good. Well done. Okay, so always remember, never put two words into a comprehension close. You have never seen it happen. It will never happen as far as we know. Okay, maybe many years down the road, they may change this rule, but right now the rule is one word, one blank. One word, one blank. Okay, don't forget that. Okay, so we're done, but don't forget, I have one bonus item for today's video. I'm going to teach you how to make your own closed passages. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to set closed passages for your friends and for yourself. It's so easy, anybody can do it, right? I can show you how to do it online, and you can actually even do it when you have a newspaper. article. You can cut something out of the Straits Times or take it out of Little Red Dot, and you can create your own difficult, easy, middle difficulty, extremely difficult close passages, depending on how you build it, okay? Right, good. And you can even use your self-made close passages to test each other, right? Test Mr. Pang, right? Well, you can even put this as a class quiz, right? We can have class quizzes after the exams where we can test each other. We can improve on close passages just by doing these class quizzes. Okay, right. And you can take any passage, okay? Right, are you ready? I'm going to show you, literally show you how I put together a close passage, okay? Okay, now, in order for you to do this, you will need an internet connection of some sort if you're doing this online, okay? Yes, exactly, Kaylin, that's exactly it. But let's say I don't have the time to write a composition, okay? And let's say I don't want to have to check my composition to make sure that it is correct without any grammatical errors. Because if I write a composition, I may make mistakes, and those mistakes can distract the reader from solving my close passage. So let's say I want to use a safe text that I don't need to correct, okay? I'm going to show you how to do it now. Let me exit from the PowerPoint, okay? All right, yay. Okay, and then later on I'll show you the sample, okay. Now let's get into the Internet Explorer or Chrome, okay. Oops, no, this is not Chrome. Where is Chrome? Where is Chrome? Okay, now I will create a new window, okay, right? Right, so I'm sure you are all familiar with the website ReadWorks, right? So I'm going to go to ReadWorks because ReadWorks just happens to be a very convenient website for me to pull some useful text from. So I log into ReadWorks. See, I'm already logged in under my name over here. Right, I go to find content. Okay, over here they've actually divided the content by kindergarten, primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Sec 1, Sec 2, and so on and so forth. Let's say I want to set something that's about primary 4 level. So I'll go to 4, I click on that. Okay. Then I go down, I want, let's say I want fiction, non-fiction, I want non-fiction. Okay. Okay, so I see, wow, I have all these texts here. Okay. Let's say I select a text from here. Okay, let's say the magic of mind. Okay. And I have all these words here. So I select all of them, I copy them, and I paste them either in a Word document or in a PowerPoint slide. So let's say I've done that, okay. I'll go over to my PowerPoint slide over here, and I'll show it to you, something I've done beforehand, okay. So let's say I've pasted a text. Now, don't worry if you can't see the words at the bottom corners, don't worry about it, it's not important, okay. But the point is, you choose a piece of text that's not too long, maybe about 3 paragraphs, maybe about 120 words, right, about the length of your composition. And it's something that you can read and understand, right? So it cannot be too difficult, must be like a primary 4 level text, like I showed you. Then, like Kaylin mentioned, just take out some words. But the important thing is to be consistent with the type of words you take out, right? So let's say for this close passage, I want to test you only on verbs because I want you to get used to seeing what are the neighbouring words that appear next to verbs, so that after a while you get used to it, you can guess that this word that's missing is a verb just because you practiced it so often with verbs, just verbs. I don't want to look at nouns, I don't want to look at prepositions, I don't want to look at any of the other word types, adverbs, adjectives, no, I just want to look at verbs, okay? So I'm going to take out all the verbs, all right? At this point in time, let's see if there's any questions. Okay, yes. Okay, yes, you print it out, exactly. Okay, you print it out, but first build it. So let me show you. So on a PowerPoint slide, you can just cover the words with a text box that has a white fill. So there you go. Did you see what happened there? Right? So the word are, I want to test are because common items, many, no s after the verb, right? So I want to test if the person is able to put are rather than is or were or was, okay, because the tense as well. Then, did you see what happened there? Right? Have. I tested have, which is another verb. And then turned, which is another verb, right? And then used, which is another verb, right? And then recycle, right? Which is next to the word to, remember? To verb, right? To recycle, right? And then protect, Alright, recycling helps protect the earth. So I need to guess that this meaning has to do with the earth. So protect the earth. And use less energy. All these are verbs. Make paper. Again, another two verb. To make paper. Alright? And then to drop. Another two verb. To drop a plastic bottle. Okay? And stop and think. So what and think? And can help preserve the environment. There we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this closed passage has 10 words and they're all verbs. I could just as easily blank out nouns, blank out adverbs, blank out adjectives, blank out prepositions, and I can test my friends until they master spotting that word type that's missing. Okay? After a while, you get an instinctive feel for it. You know that that word that's missing is a verb, or a noun, or an adjective, or an adverb. But practice makes perfect. So this is, in my opinion, a wonderful way to practice and test your friends and help them to master this. Okay? Okay, let's see. Okay, yes. Yes, cut is a verb. Okay, no limits. Okay. I wouldn't recommend a university level text because it's too difficult. And if it's too difficult, then you won't be able to do it. So what's the point, right? So choose a level that is appropriate. So a good test would be if you read the passage and you can understand it, then it's a good passage to use. But if you're reading a passage and you can't understand what it's saying, then don't use it. Okay? So that's it. Remember, please think and ask questions that are appropriate and relevant, Aiden. Okay? Right? So again, I'm talking about appropriate texts that you can use to test your friends, and university level texts I don't think are appropriate in terms of difficulty level and words that are being used. Okay? Right, let me see. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean here, but basically this is what I mentioned. It's up to you what you want to blank out. You can choose whatever types of words you want to blank out, but my point is be consistent, okay? Choose a type of word you want to test your friend. So it can be nouns, it can be verbs, it can be adverbs, and then gradually you can mix it up a little. So maybe 5 words can be nouns that are blanked out, 5 words can be verbs that are blanked out, and you can kind of play around with what types of words you want. But at the beginning, it might be easier just to do all verbs or all nouns, right? It might be easier for you to spot these words and test them. Okay? Yeah. Thank you for that, Jancis. Was that Jancis? Yeah. Okay. QFQ ATA, that's for the ReadWorks account, right? Okay. Right. Do you have any questions? I've actually gone 10 minutes beyond the time I said I would end this video. Let me know. Any questions? Go ahead and try this out. Important thing is, if you want to create these comprehension closed passages, it is also very good training for you, because when you create these texts and you blank out these words, you are also learning that by blanking this word out, you are spotting the clues in the words that are next to these words, right? And it makes you a bit more aware of how a comprehension closed passage is built. So once you know how something is built, it's very easy for you to solve it, right? It's kind of like reversing it and seeing how it's done from the other way around, how a teacher would build a closed passage, okay? Right, great. I'm glad everybody is able to understand today's video. So I will be ending the video shortly. Remember, everything that we've spoken about today, all the materials, the PowerPoint slides, comments, questions, will be uploaded on Modo sometime later this evening. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, drop me a message, let me know. If you create some closed passages and you'd like to share them with your friends, by all means send them over to me. I'll compile them and then I'll send them out. I'll credit you for it. Okay, I'll write your name at the bottom so at least people know that it's done by you. And of course, remember, whenever you create a closed passage, always keep a copy of the original text so you know the answers to the questions you've set, and you can easily give the answers to your friends once they've tried it out. You can tell them if it's right or wrong. And remember, the beauty about closed passage is that there is more than one possible answer. So it is possible that one question can have multiple answers. Like remember just now, it was hard, for them to find their way. It was difficult for them to find their way. Hard and difficult are both alternative answers that can be used because they share the common meaning and they are able to fit into that close passage. Okay? Right. Without further ado, I say good evening to everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. And remember, as always, right? I hope that you guys are spending this time productively. Mr. Hippo waves goodbye and says thank you for your kind attention. All of you have been lovely model students. You've all been very, very good and engaged, and you've asked very meaningful questions. You've all been thinking about what I've been teaching, and that is why you're asking all these questions. So I appreciate all of your questions, every one of you. Thank you for asking your questions, and thank you for engaging and thinking through what I've been talking about tonight. Okay, you guys are awesome, right? You're great. And remember to tune in again. I'll be making a short video, another short video tomorrow, even shorter than tonight, where I'll be talking about how you can use the materials in your English file to effectively revise for the coming essay tools on 25th of October. Okay, so bye everyone. Take care and enjoy yourselves over the weekend. Don't work too hard. Take some time to play, okay, and rest. Okay. What time tomorrow? I guess we can say about 7 p.m. Okay, right? 7 p.m. Right? If there's any change, I'll send a message through Class Dojo as always. Okay. Bye everyone. Awesome. Bye. 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 Bye, Mr. Palm. Bye, Mr. Hippo. Bye everyone. Okay, so I should probably say goodbye to all of you one by one. So goodbye, Jermaine. Goodbye, Martin. Goodbye, Ashton. Goodbye, Ingrid, Jancis, John, Kaylin, Jia En, Megan Quack, Aiden Po, Raihan, Ziting. Did I miss anybody else out? Bye. Okay, bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.